All right, all right, all right. We are back in the Ex Homeschoolers Club. I am your host, Jacob Gooden, and today I am joined with the wonderful, lovely Julia. We have known each other for a long, long time. I met her. Gosh, what did I say before? It was like a couple weeks after you moved here from Russia, and we like were same grade in school. We graduated together. We went to prom together. We were in bands together. We did all of school together, basically. So
Yes.
anyway, thank you for coming on the show. It's wonderful to have you.
Yeah, honored to be here. It's really cool that you're doing the podcast.
Well, tell me a little bit about your homeschool journey because from what I remember, the first time I met you, you hardly spoke any English. You had just gotten here from Russia, and we had one friend, Luda, who had also moved here from Russia, and you guys, yeah, were able to talk to each other, but to the rest of us, like it was a foreign language. But I remember
Yeah.
meeting you at Group Solutions, and you just kind of like getting thrown in the group with everybody, and having to figure it out. But tell me a little bit about that and like what that all looked like.
Yeah, I think it's exactly like you said. Everything was going so fast too when I was younger because we were being moved from place to place, being adopted and all that, and not knowing the language. But it was also very exciting because we were in a different country and nobody spoke our language, and uh, it was just so cool to have friends, and like it was sort of like a secret language, because
Yeah.
nobody else could understand us. So that was kind of cool to look back on now. And I have a lot of great memories, I think, being homeschooled as well. The one thing I think that a lot of people didn't get to experience is because being homeschooled, usually like your parent is your teacher.
Hmm.
With It was not the case with my parents at all.
Okay.
Um, my teacher was Mrs. Sanchez, and I don't think without her I would have ever done it. Like
Mhm.
she she got me through it all. So that was really cool.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you because I mean, I've known your family for a long time, and yeah, your mom was sick. She was battling cancer for a long, long time, and yeah, I know that Mrs. Sanchez was like heavily involved in your guys' schooling, but I didn't know that she was teacher for you guys, right?
For me, that's how I remember it. Yeah,
Hmm.
for me, she was teacher. Even when I was like in a bad mood or whatever, she would always like push me to do really, really well in school.
Yeah.
And back then, I totally hated it, and I didn't like her for doing that to me. I was like, you're mean or something. I don't know, like being immature or whatever, and stupid and dramatic. But now I'm like looking back on it now, and I'm so grateful, and I'm so like I would never been able to push through that without her, and I'm like forever grateful to her for sure.
Was she also like doing that for your sisters as well?
Not so much for Lena, but definitely a little bit for Krista here and there because they like Krista and Kiki kind of were like friends and stuff like that. So me and Ludo were friends. So that's kind of how it worked out. And
Mhm.
sometimes like Krista would go with me, I think. I don't know.
Yeah. So
But
were you basically going to their house every day for school or a couple days a week
I think
kind of a thing?
I think it was 3 times a week or something like that. And then we would go to Group Solutions and do like outside classes with other parents that were teaching and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the Sanchez's they were like the pioneers of group solutions. I remember that. And
Yeah.
I'm hoping to get one or both of them on at some point because like I would love to, yeah, I want to chat uh to them. I'm gonna do a whole season with just like parents and get their perspective on things as well. Um but yeah, they group solutions was fantastic because like it gave us kind of an outlet to be, I don't know, my first 2 years, 3 years of homeschooling were just so like stuck at home and no friends, and like I had gone to public school before that, and so it's just like I just needed friends, and group solutions like became that safe place of
Yeah.
like it was like going to regular school for a day.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess you're right. I never wanted to go to real school. My mom made me shadow like a private school, somebody that went to private school, and I actually went to visit, I think it was Ventura High School. And I
Hmm.
was so afraid of going. I was like, nah, I'm gonna stick with homeschooling. So that's what I did.
It's funny how that works too, because like, yeah, by the time I was in high school, I was like, I can't imagine going to public high school. Like my parents kind of gave me the option, or at least it was like discussed a little bit, and I was just like, why would I want to do that? I like make my own schedule. I like work when I want to. I can go see friends. I can kind of like do whatever. I was like an adult, and especially once we got like old enough to like have driver's license and stuff, it was like, well, you're just like, you know, you're in charge of your life. Go figure it out. Go get a job. Go do whatever. I can't imagine like giving that up. I don't know, to go to like a public high school.
I think it was more so like they were just giving me options,
Yeah.
you know, which they did with like extracurricular activities as well, which was really cool to experience for me because um a lot of the things, if you add up like kids sports and kids activities, they can get really expensive over like a long period of time, if especially if your kids are doing that, you know? And I don't know how my parents did it, but we get to experience so many cool things. It was insane.
What kind of like extracurricular stuff were you doing?
I did a lot of stuff. I did like taekwondo, I did ballet, I did tap, jazz, I did like the plays at the Mitchells. Um which was that was different, but still I want to include that because it's
Yeah.
so fun looking back on it.
No,
It's
that was
so
like its
fun.
own. It was that was like its own thing, and it's so funny because the episode at the time of recording this, the episode that just came out for the podcast was my interview with Nick, and it briefly came up, and I had someone comment who was not a part of our friend group at all, just some rando from the internet commented and was like, "These talk more about these backyard plays," but yeah, it was basically like theater in the round, their driveway in the middle of their driveway was like this dirt patch. I think at one point it was grass, but it became dirt because we were just walking all over it. But yeah, they did like Beauty and the Beast, Lion King. I remember you having a significant role in Lion King. Was
Oh
that?
yeah. Oh yeah, I had definitely a significant role. I still remember it to this day. I was Rafiki, the baboon, you know? And I had like to chant in front of like a bunch of people. And I remember like screwing up my lines pretty bad in the middle of all of that. And then I was just like, you know what, screw it. I already screwed up, so I'm just gonna keep going. And then the audience ended up laughing, and it was such like a validating feeling for me, you know?
Yeah.
So I just kept going and it was great after that. And oh man, at the time I think I was a little bit embarrassed, but now it's I'm so glad I got to experience it. It's so cool.
It's so funny too because like I don't know. I feel like I've known you long enough that I feel like I've watched been able to watch you like just become like a really confident person, if that makes sense. Like
Awesome.
yeah, and like I
I
mean
guess.
like and I mean this in the best way possible, but like I remember you being very shy initially when you got here, and I think it probably had a lot to do with like language barrier and stuff. But like I remember you being very shy and not outgoing, and then I don't know. The longer I got to know you, the more and more you found like your voice as a person, and I don't know. I don't know. I'm remembering that play in particular, and you had a lot of lines, and yeah, I remember you just like taking charge of them and being awesome at it. So you
Well,
know.
thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think it's definitely the language barrier about the whole being shy thing because I feel like I was really annoying as like a younger kid. I was very loud. When I would go to Awana and like stand on the tables and be very loud and scream a lot and like I don't know.
And I mean, to be honest, like I feel like until about junior high, high school, we probably were a little bit more like surface level friends. Um, I don't know. I don't know what the shift was where we became better friends, but
The band.
was it
The
the band?
band.
It was the
It was
band.
the band.
That was you, me, and Derry, right?
Yeah, it was. I think it was just like I really wanted it to be a band, but we weren't really gonna go anywhere, you know?
Yeah, but we were a band. Yeah, I remember that, and I remember like practicing at your house, and yeah, I don't know. You would write songs. I remember you'd send us songs and be like, "Oh, can you like put some music to this or whatever?" I'm sure they're probably somewhere. I'm looking at my guitar gear over in the corner. It's
Oh my
probably somewhere
god.
buried in all that stuff, or saved on my computer or something. But yeah, you used to like write songs, and I don't know. We just like it was just fun. We just noodled around on stuff, you know?
If you have anything, please send it to me. Oh my god, I want to see because I don't remember it. I do remember practicing like at our house, but it more turned into like we were just chatting about it, you know. And I still can't believe we had a band, but I think that's what like brought our friendship closer. You, me, and Derry started to like go out, I think, and I don't know. We had a lot of fun though. It was cool. And then also we went to church together.
Yes. Yeah, that's true
Yes.
as well. Yeah, we all went to reality, and so we were in youth group together, and I don't know, we just were around each other a lot. I feel like it just kind of was one of those things that became, I don't know, and we were
Yeah.
the same grade. We graduated together,
Yeah.
which like that whole year too. Like what was cool with like Achieve was that like we like our graduating class like they planned stuff for us to do. Like we got to have like senior ditch day, and we got to have, well, I don't know if we had senior ditch day, but we had like events. Like we would go to people's houses and we do certain things, and then we went to Disneyland all together, and like just stuff like
Yeah, I
that. We
remember
just got to,
Disneyland.
that was so much fun. I was looking at photos of that. I'm gonna probably, you'll probably see it on Instagram, but I had a photo of I want to say it was all of us, but it was most of us at Disneyland. I think we're in line for Space Mountain all together, but I have very fond memories of that. And what's cool, I don't know if you remember this or not, but Mr. and Mrs. Yee were the ones who took us on the Disneyland trip. And we got there, and I think all of us were a little worried that they were gonna just like stick with us the whole day. And they just said, like, go have your own fun. Don't bug us. We're going to go have our own Disneyland day, just the two of us, and we'll see you at the end of the day at the car. And they just kind of let us like go do whatever we wanted for the whole day at Disneyland.
Wow, that's so cool of them. I didn't know. Not until now, at least. And that's amazing. I would have never let my kids go around like that. Too terrifying.
The other major thing that happened with us, we went to prom together, which
Oh yeah.
I don't know about you. I went to two homeschool proms. I went with Carrie, and then I went with you. And I think ours was on a ferry boat, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think wasn't or some school put it on
Yeah,
or
I think it was
something like
Calvary
that.
Chapel. The Calvary
Yeah.
Chapel school, which was like kind of homeschool adjacent, was responsible
Yeah.
for it. And yeah, we
I
went.
thought that was really fun. I thought that was a
Yeah,
really cool prom.
I remember it being a lot of fun, and I remember, yeah, going out on the water.
I danced with a lot of like my girlfriends there. I don't think I've ever danced in my life before. So that was a fun experience. I've been to like a lot of proms too, and I think that one was probably the best one. Um I think I went to like three different proms or something. I don't know. I don't remember. But
Wow.
also the homeschool dances. We have to talk about those because oh my gosh. Uh I feel like everybody else's parents made them go. Or is that wrong?
I don't know. My mom made me take dance lessons, I think when I was about 12, maybe 13, and I didn't like it at first. The first dance I ever went to was at the Pettit's house. I danced with one girl, and it was because it they dragged me to the dance floor to do it. But after that, I think I was pretty sold on the whole thing. Um, so yeah, I mean, my parents didn't have to drag me there because I wanted to go, but I do know some kids that got dragged there. Were you one of those kids?
No, but you know, as growing up, the impression that I got from like majority of the families, like, oh, you have to be here or something, or that their parents made them go, whether it was church or a homeschool dance or something like that. And then my mom would always joke about going to the dances, break all of the dress codes. She's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna show up with a spaghetti strap and see what the moms say," uh, and we would just laugh about it. It was so great.
Yeah, your mom was definitely a troublemaker type person.
Yeah, no, for sure. But you know, that's what we love most about her. So.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So tell me a little bit about like post homeschool years, and like what are you doing now? What's life like? I know you're married, you got kids.
Yeah,
What's going on?
what's going on? I'm a stay-at-home mom now, which is crazy. Um, from anybody that knows me, at least it's crazy because I've like basically never babysat in my life. So I have about like 6 kids.
Wow.
So it's a lot of kids. We have like a little Frenchie dog too. And it's a really beautiful family. All the little girls, and they always want to like, they're very affectionate and loving towards one another and towards like their siblings. And and to me and dad, obviously. And it's so cool to just watch because I wasn't that little when I first came to America, so, and it's weird. It's honestly weird having kids, and it's like a little piece of you just walking out and about.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to watch them grow up, and I feel like I understand parents better now, like my own parents and stuff. And it's so weird because like now I call my dad and ask him like, oh, well, what do I do about this, or what do you think, and like ask him for real advice when I would never do that if I was like in high school or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's something really special. And yeah, I got married in like February, so that was really cool. And
Congratulations.
thank you. So that's
So
what I'm doing now.
what are the age ranges on your guys' kids?
So the oldest is 13, that's my stepson. And my other ones are, both of them are 8. So um 2 8-year-olds and a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old.
Wow. Wow,
I know.
you got the
It's
gamut.
crazy. Yeah, but you know what? I just take them all to the park, because
Yeah.
they have some amazing parks here in San Diego, and I take them to like the swimming pool, and they're so much fun. They're so much fun to hang out with. We always play video games now, and it's amazing. I love it, and I
Yeah.
feel like it's so much fun.
That's so cool. Well, and like I don't know what the school is looking like, but I mean school is practically back in session, if not in session at this point. So, but I'm sure
It
like
is,
summer is
yeah,
like super fun where it's just like everybody's at home and man, that sounds like so much
yeah,
fun. Oh my gosh. I'm having flashbacks to I used to babysit for a family and they I think had 8 kids, if I'm not mistaken, and my sister and I, we would tag team babysitting, and she would handle the girls, which there was only 2 of, and then I got the boys, which it was just like Legos and Star Wars and video games and movies and stuff, but it was so much
yeah,
fun to do that, and so I can only imagine, what
yeah.
your
Well,
house must be like.
we have 4 girls and 2 boys, but all of them play video games.
Nice.
We like all do it together as a family too
That's so
sometimes.
fun. That's so fun. Do you
Yeah.
guys have, like, a game in particular that's, like, the game?
Call of Duty,
Okay.
zombies. Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
that.
we love it. Call of
I
Duty, anything pretty much, but mostly right now it's the zombies. Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh, that's so much fun. The last time my folks were in town, we got them to play video games and we taught them how to play Mario Kart and how to play Mario Party. And it was just so funny because they haven't played video games in like so long. And so we kind of got
Have
them
you ever?
yeah, like it's funny because so there's a retro arcade here that we took them to, and so it's like all of the old arcade games, right? And so they were like crushing at Pac-Man and Centipede and like all of that stuff. And I'm sitting there going, "Oh my gosh, how can you play these? Like they're so ancient." It's fun, but I'm like no good at them, and they're super good. And then I was like, "Okay, well now you got to play my video games," you know.
Nice.
And so yeah, but once you put them into Mario Kart, they're like, "Wait, what do I do again? How do I turn the wheel?" All that stuff. But no, but video games are
That's
so
so
much fun
funny.
as a family.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely awesome. I love it too. I'm so glad your parents played with you. That's amazing.
So I'm assuming you're not homeschooling your kids, but did you think about it or are you homeschooling your kids?
Me and my oldest daughter, who's 8 years old, turning 9 soon, we talked about homeschooling. She's like, I want to be homeschooled because I want to spend more time with my family. And I was like, yeah, that would be cool. But And I think it would be great. If I had the patience to do it, I will do it, because there was a period of time where I was frightful for my, for my kid. And not that anything happened, but like, when there was like a period where the shootings were happening and stuff like that. And so sending your kid to public school and like having them, I don't know, go through that, that's frightening. And I don't
Yeah.
want my kid to go through that too. So I think that's when I was thinking about homeschooling, but then I was like, I probably couldn't do it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just doubting myself though. Who knows?
I mean, it's not for everybody, but also it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's so much different. I remember my mom, I was talking to her this week about it because it was like, how did you pick curriculum? Like, how did you decide on that? And she was just like, you just kind of, you went to the conference and they had all the different things and you just picked one and you just hoped it was okay. And then maybe the next year it was like, this didn't really work. Let's try something different, kind of a thing. But then you figure it out after a while. You're like, oh, this particular math works and this science works and that, what history lessons work or whatever. Um, so I don't know. I mean, I know she was kind of freaked out when she started homeschooling me. I was 8 years old. So I was your daughter's age when I started. And it was a rough couple of years to begin with because we just had to figure it out. But I don't know. I think there's some pros to public school as well, and I don't know. You also, it just seems like you guys are so involved in like your kids' lives that I think regardless of whether you homeschool them or public school or private school or anything, I think they're just gonna remember like mom and dad like loved us and were involved and wanted to know what was going on and like help us with homework and stuff like that. And I think that's, I don't know. I feel like that's what goes the distance. You know what I mean? Like you were talking about with
Yeah.
Mrs. Sanchez, like you just remember her pushing you to be better.
Yeah, Mrs. Sanchez was the one, one of the reasons why I went to Mrs. Sanchez, and when my mom or I guess they made an arrangement or something where she was my teacher. I don't know. Um, One of the reasons was because me and my mom were bickering.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what, probably because she didn't have no patience for me. So I'm like, relatable. I feel you there.
Do you feel
So
like you guys fought because I don't know, I hear this all the time where it's like the people who don't get along, typically it's because they're so similar that they clash a little bit. Like they kind of have I don't know. Well, let me explain this. Okay, so like I'm whether you believe in star signs or not, I'm a Leo, which means
me too.
certain things. Yeah, and I know our birthdays are really close to each other, but yeah, so like you kind of have those like dominant leadership personas like kind of exist within you, which can make you kind of strong-willed, hard-headed kind of a person.
Yeah,
And you
Starburst.
pair that with another Leo, and sometimes it's just like, ooh, it's bad. Or like even my wife is a Scorpio, and, like, it sometimes is head-on collision with that one, but we love each other, it's just sometimes it just, it's just those
Oh
strong
yeah.
wills, they get in the way. Do you feel like maybe that was, like, why you and your mom were kinda, like, at each other?
It's weird. It's weird that you say that and bring that up, because like a lot of her friends have mentioned the similarities. I've never really seen I've never seen that before, but I have gotten that before from some of her friends. Like they have seen certain similarities between me and my mom, even though we're not, I'm adopted. And I take it as a compliment, though. I think that there's definitely where I can relate with my mom is the rebellious side of her. Yeah, that's where we connect, I think. I don't know.
I feel that.
Where we have bonded. Actually,
Yeah.
when I was younger, one of the ways that we bonded was we played a game called well, we called it. It was just our own little game. We called it Top That Sin.
Okay.
And that was where she would tell me like her stuff when she was younger, like her rebellious phase or whatever, the stories that she would tell me. And then that was my way of telling her what I did wrong, like during the week or whatever. And that's how I would confess to her. So we would play this game called Top That Sin. I don't know if that makes sense,
No,
but
that totally makes sense. Oh my gosh.
yeah,
That's hilarious.
it's
I
really weird.
That's so fun. So like if your mom was like, "Oh, I don't know, I snuck out when I was 16 and went to my boyfriend's house," then you had to like top it somehow and be like, "Well, I did
Yeah,
that and did this."
pretty much. Pretty much. Yeah, it was
Wow.
kind of funny. Yeah,
That's
funny
what
looking back. I was totally, I think at the time, I it was my way of like confessing to her and like feeling safe or like, oh, this is where I did something wrong or I think it's wrong. Like, I don't know. What do you think? Or what do I
yeah.
do? I didn't know what to do, so I was like panicking.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting too, 'cause was it like what obviously, I mean, nobody wants to tell their parent that they like did something wrong, especially because like fear of punishment. But like what did like was there punishment involved after that, or was it like, "No, this is, like, a safe place, and then we're gonna, like, talk about it and maybe how you could have handled it differently?" Like, what was that like?
That's a good question. So another thing is with my parents, I didn't really get grounded, I feel like a lot. Even when I would do something bad, which I don't understand. But it was more so like, let's sit down and talk about it all together, which would make me even more nervous, you know? Because then my dad would be like, Julia, and then let's come in my room and let's talk. And then we would talk about the problem, and it would be so like awkward. And we would all be sitting there and actually like confronting the issue. And I was so not used to that, you know?
Yeah. Dang,
But that
that's so different. Man, my family, we talked, but, like, I don't know, I have more memories of, like, my getting in trouble and my dad being like, "You're coming to work with me," and then he would hand me to, like, the janitor or, like, one of, like, the guys who worked in the mail room or something and be like, I don't know, "Give him some job to do," and I would, like, scrub out the refrigerator at work that was, like, caked in soda and moldy food and stuff like that, like, there was, like I don't know, like, it's so different, I don't know, like, I love it, though, I love it, like, I'm very, like, pro open communication and, like, "Hey, let's discuss it, let's figure out, like, what
yeah,
this is
I
and
think
how to
it
move
makes the
forward."
kid nervous
Yeah.
for sure. If both parents are like, come sit down and talk to me, I think it definitely makes a kid nervous.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. I can't imagine. I still get nervous. My parents are like, "Oh, we need to have a talk." I'm like, "About what?" Like,
I know.
I'm a
I can't even say a bad word in front of my dad. I can't. I just can't do it.
yeah, it's oh my gosh, the first time I cussed in front of my parents, like, post, I don't know, being an adult, I remember kinda being, like, just subtly, like, slipping, like, shit in there, just kinda,
Oh my
just
god.
test the waters a little bit, and then it was like, they didn't really say anything about it, and I was like, "Okay, okay." And then the first time I used the F word around them, I was like, "Fuck." And it just kinda tests the waters a little bit, and what's funny is, my mom cussed at us when we were kids, quite a bit, and,
Oh really?
so
Wow.
so I was like she's like, "I can't deny like, you learned it from me. It's not like it's not like, we went out and, and then we came back,"
She's
and she's
right.
like, "Where did you learn this language?" It's like she's like, "I know where you learned how to talk like this." Um, but, yeah, so it's funny. It's just one of those things now we as a family, we talk about, we're like, "Hey, sometimes you just gotta let it out," you just gotta also there's studies that show that, more intelligent people actually use cuss words. So, I just tell
Oh,
people
really?
I'm
I
a
didn't know that.
genius. So,
I thought I'm a genius. I love that. So using that next time me. That's hilarious. Oh man, I do that too though. It's hard not to nowadays, because I feel like everybody does.
yeah,
So it's hard to avoid it.
it is hard. It is hard to avoid it, but yeah, you can just tell people you're a genius, and it's harder with little
Mhm.
kids, I'm sure, because
It's-
we don't want 3-year-olds necessarily always walking around saying certain things, but
Yeah.
but you know, um, anyway, oh my gosh. Well, I'm so like it's so great to catch up with you because like I have missed you. It's been a long time since we've seen each other. I want to say the last time I saw you was your your 8-year-old was like a baby, like just born kind of a thing.
Yeah, yeah, that's Jazzy was like, I don't know. Yeah, she was probably just like born, huh?
Probably. I
Because
mean, I remember
I
her
think your
being in
mom's
like a
like a
stroller.
wasn't your mom at my baby shower? I think so.
It's possible
Maybe. I
because
don't
you
know.
had
I don't
her. I
remember.
I was in college when you had her, and so funny enough, I remember when after my freshman year talking to you on the phone. I had texted you to be like, "Hey, I'm gonna be home for like the summer or something, and we should like hang out." And you were like, "I have something to like. I'm excited to see you, and like I have something to tell you." And I was like,
You didn't
"Okay,"
say that?
and then and then I was like, "Well, what is it?" And you're like, "You have to wait till you get here." And I was like, "Okay." And then a couple minutes later, you text me and you're like, can I just call you? I can't wait to tell you or whatever. And then you called me and you were like, I'm pregnant. And I was like, oh wow. I was like, okay. Um and I don't know, it was so exciting. And I know that was like its own uh thing in
Different
and of
thing.
itself,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I love that you became a mom and and you're a great mom. So
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'm definitely still learning. It's a learning thing, I swear. And also like, oh man, it's so challenging too. It's crazy.
yeah.
People Yeah, people don't warn you about this at all. It's wild. They just talk about how cute babies are and stuff like that, but they don't warn you about motherhood. It's really the hood. For
Yeah.
real.
Part of the the motherhood gang.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so funny. Um yeah, I mean, I asked all the questions I had for you. I didn't know if there was any stories that you had thought of to share or anything like that, but um yeah, I don't know.
No, I think we covered all the bases. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I've loved catching up with you, and I promise I won't wait another like 9-ish years
Yes, yes.
to reach out um because yeah. And I know we were talking at one point about doing a reunion, so hopefully we can get enough homeschoolers and do some kind of reunion at some point and catch up with everybody because that's like I would love that. I think that'd be so much fun. But again, thank you so much for coming on and being just like open to talking and sharing and uh
Yeah.
you know
No, of course. Of course. It's an honor to be a part of your cool podcast. Seriously. I'm excited and I can't wait to see where it goes. Seriously.
very
And
cool.
I'm honored to be a part of it. It's a big deal.
Of course, you had to be. You had to be. Well, yeah, this has been the Ex Homeschoolers Pod. If you liked what you heard, I would love if you, subscribe, follow, uh, thumbs up, leave a review, comment, whatever you got to do. Or feel free to even shoot me an email. It is at exhsclub@gmail.com. All that stuff will be in the show notes, of course. But yeah, Julia, once again, thank you so much for coming on. And until next time, later.